Translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi. Suttacentral.net and suttas.com. DN 14 Mahàpadàna Sutta. The Great Discourse on the Lineage. Thus have I heard. Once Buddha was staying at Savatthi, in Anathapindika's park in the Jita Grove, in the Karari Hutment. After alms round, a group of monks gathered together sitting in the Karari pavilion and held a serious discussion on former lives. They said, "This is how it was in a former life," or "that is how it was." With his divine ear, Buddha overheard the discussion and came to join them, inquiring on what discussion they were having. He asked the monks, "Would you all like to hear a proper discourse on past lives?" The monks replied, "Yes, blessed one." Then Buddha illustrated the doctrine of past lives and lineage of previous enlightened arahants. Monks, 91 eons ago, the Arahant, the fully enlightened Buddha Vipassana arose in the world. 31 eons ago, the Buddha Sikhi arose, in the same 31 eons before this Buddha Vesabhu arose. And in this present fortunate eon the Buddhas Kakusandha, Kanagamana, and Kassapa arose in the world. And in this present fortunate eon I too have now arisen in the world as a fully enlightened Buddha. On the history of family, Buddha Vipassana was born of Katiya race, and arose in a Katiya family, the Buddha Sikha likewise, and the Buddha Vesabhu likewise. Then Buddha Kakusandha was born of Brahmin race, and arose in a Brahmin family, the Buddha Kanagamana likewise, the Buddha Kassapa likewise. Then I, monks, who am now the Arahant and fully enlightened Buddha, was born of Katiya race, and arose in a Katiya family. On the history of clan, Buddha Vipassana was of the Khandana clan, likewise for Buddha Sikhi and Buddha Vesabhu, the Buddha Kakusandha was of the Kassapa clan, likewise for Buddha Kanagamana and Buddha Kassapa. Then I, who am now the Arahant and fully enlightened Buddha, am of the Gautama clan. On the history of lifespan, in the time of the Buddha Vipassana the lifespan was 80,000 years, in the time of Buddha Sikha 70,000 years, in the time of Buddha Vesabhu 60,000 years, in the time of Buddha Kakusandha 40,000 years, in the time of Buddha Kanagamana 30,000 years, in the time of Buddha Kassapa it was 20,000 years. In my time the lifespan is short, limited, and quick to pass. Rarely people lives up to 100 years. On the history of enlightenment, Buddha Vipassana gained his full enlightenment at the foot of a trumpet flower tree, Buddha Sikhi under a white mango tree, Buddha Vesabhu under a sal tree, Buddha Kakusandha under an acacia tree, Buddha Kanagamana under a fig tree, Buddha Kassapa under a banyan tree, and I became fully enlightened at the foot of an asatha tree. On this history of chief disciples, Buddha Vipassana had the pair of noble disciples Kanda and Tissa, Buddha Sikha had Abhibhu and Sambhava, Buddha Vesabhu had Sana and Uttara, Buddha Kakusandha had Vyadhura and Sanjiva, Buddha Kanagamana had Payasa and Uttara, Buddha Kassapa had Tissa and Bharadvaja. I myself now have the pair of noble disciples Sariputta and Moggallana. On the history of Sangha assembly, Buddha Vipassana had 3 assemblies of disciples, one of 6,800,000, one of 100,000, and one of 80,000 monks, and of these 3 assemblies all were arahants. Buddha Sikha had 3 assemblies of disciples, one of a 100,000, one of 80,000, and one of 70,000 monks, and all are arahants. Buddha Vesabhu had 3 assemblies, one of 80,000, one of 70,000, and one of 60,000 monks, and all are arahants. Buddha Kakusandha had 1 assembly, 40,000 monks, and all are arahants. Buddha Kanagamana had 1 assembly, 30,000 monks, and all are arahants. Buddha Kassapa had 1 assembly, 20,000 monks, and all are arahants. I, monks, have 1 assembly of disciples, 1,250 monks, and this 1 assembly consists only of arahants. On the history of personal attendant, Buddha Vipassana's personal attendant was the monk Asoka, Buddha Sikha's was Kemankara, Buddha Vesabhu's was Upasanika, Buddha Kakusandha's was Vudhija, Buddha Kanagamana's was Sathija, Buddha Kassapa's was Sabamita. My chief personal attendant now is Ananda. On the history of parents, Buddha Vipassana's father was King Bandhuma, his mother Queen Bandhumati, and King Bandhuma's royal capital was Bandhumati. Buddha Sika's father was King Aruna, his mother Queen Pabhavati. King Aruna's capital was Aranavati. Buddha Visabhu's father was King Supatita, his mother was Queen Yasavati. King Supatita's capital was Anopama. Buddha Kakusandha's father was the Brahmin Agadita, his mother was the Brahmin lady Visakha. The king at that time was Kema, his capital was Kemavati. Buddha Kanagamana's father was the Brahmin Yanadatta, his mother was the Brahmin lady Uttara. The king at that time was Sabha, his capital was Sobhavati. Buddha Kasapa's father was Brahmin Brahmadatta, his mother was the Brahmin lady Dhanavati. The king at that time was Kiki, his capital was Karanasai. And now, monks, my father is King Suddhodana, my mother was Queen Maya, and the royal capital was Kapalavathu. After explaining on this history of past Buddhas and their backgrounds, Buddha rose from his seat and went back to his lodging. After Buddha left, another discussion arose amongst the monks. It is marvelous that the Tathagata, Buddha, has great power and ability to recall how the past Buddhas gained parinibbana by cutting away the hindrances, cutting off craving, put an end to samsara, rebirth, and ending all suffering. He recalls their birth, their name, their clan, their lifespan. The disciples and assemblies connected with him. Well now, friends, how did the Tathagata gain such penetrative knowledge to know the names, the clans, the discipline, their Dhamma, their wisdom, their liberation of the past Buddhas? Did some deva, deities, reveal this knowledge to him? At this point, after resting, Buddha came to the Karari pavilion again and asked what discussion did he interrupt. The monks told him what they were discussing. Buddha replied, the Tathagata understands these things by his own penetration of the principles of the Dhamma, and devas, too, have told him. Well, monks, do you wish to hear more about past lives? The monks replied yes, and Buddha continued to explain more about past lives and lineage. Monks, 91 eons ago, the Arahant, the fully enlightened Buddha Vipassi arose in the world. He was born of the Katiya race, and arose in a Katiya family. He was of the Khandana clan. The span of his life was 80,000 years. He gained his full enlightenment at the foot of a trumpet flower tree. He had the pair of noble disciples Kanda and Tissa as his chief disciples. He had 3 assemblies of disciples, one of 6,800,000, one of 100,000, and one of 80,000 monks, all are arahants. His chief personal attendant was the monk Asoka. His father was King Bandhuma, his mother was Queen Bandhumati. The king's capital was Bandhumati. The rule is that Bodhisattva Vipassi descended from the Tushita heaven, mindful and clearly aware, into his mother's womb. When that happens, an immeasurable, splendid light surpassing the glory of the most powerful devas will appear. And whatever dark spaces lay beyond the world's end, chaotic, will be illuminated by this immeasurable splendid light. And those beings that have been reborn there recognize each other by this light, and this 10,000-fold world system trembles and quakes and is convulsed. And this immeasurable light shines forth. That is the rule when a Buddha to be is going to be born. It is also the rule that when a Bodhisattva has entered his mother's womb, 4 devas come to protect him from the 4 quarters, saying, let no man, no non-human being, no thing whatsoever harm this Bodhisattva or this Bodhisattva's mother. After a Bodhisattva has entered his mother's womb, his mother becomes by nature virtuous, refraining from taking life, from taking what is not given, from sexual misconduct, from lying speech, or from taking intoxicants. His mother has no sensual thoughts connected with a man, and she cannot be overcome by any man with lustful thoughts. His mother enjoys the 5-fold pleasures of the senses and takes delight, being endowed and possessed of them. That is the rule. It is also the rule that when a Bodhisattva has entered his mother's womb, she has no sickness of any kind, she is at ease and without fatigue of body, and she can see the Bodhisattva fully formed inside her womb. Monks, the fetus is as if a gem, a beryl, pure, excellent, well cut into 8 facets, clear, bright, flawless and perfect in every respect, were strung on a blue, yellow, red, white, or orange cord. And a man with good eyesight, taking it in his hand, would describe it as such. Bodhisattva's mother dies 7 days after his birth and will be reborn in the Tushita heaven. That is the rule. It is also the rule that whereas other women carry the child in their womb for 9 or 10 months before giving birth, the Bodhisattva's mother will carry him for exactly 10 months before giving birth. Whereas other women give birth sitting or lying down, the Bodhisattva's mother gives birth standing up. When the Bodhisattva issues forth from his mother's womb, devas welcome him first, and then humans. When the Bodhisattva issues is born, he does not touch the earth. 4 devas will receive him and place him before his mother, saying, "Rejoice, your majesty, a mighty son has been born to you." That is the rule. It is also the rule that when the Bodhisattva is born, he is stainless, not contaminated by water, mucus, blood, or any impurity, totally pure and spotless. Just like a pure unstained jewel. 2 streams of water will appear from the sky, one cold, the other warm, with which they ritually wash the Bodhisattva and his mother. As soon as he is born, the Bodhisattva takes a firm stance on both feet, facing north, then takes 7 steps, and then under a white sunshade he scans the 4 quarters, and declares with a bull-like voice, "I am chief in the world, supreme in the world, eldest in the world. This is my last birth, there will be no more re-becoming." Then an immeasurable, splendid light surpassing the glory of the most powerful devas will appear. This is the rule. When Prince Vipassi was born, King Bandhuma asked the Brahmins to examine the baby and do a fortune-telling. Brahmins replied, "Your Honor, rejoice that a mighty son has been born to you. It is a gain and a great profit for you. This prince is endowed with the 32 marks of a great man. So he will be either a ruler, a wheel-turning righteous monarch of the law, conqueror of the 4 quarters who has established the security of his realm and is possessed of the 7 treasures, the wheel treasure, the elephant treasure, the horse treasure, the jewel treasure, the woman treasure, the householder treasure, and, as 7th, the counselor treasure. He will have 1,000 sons and a magnificent army. Or he will become an arahant, a fully enlightened Buddha. The 32 marks of a great man are: 1. He has feet with level tread. 2. On the soles of his feet are wheels with 1,000 spokes. 3. He has projecting heels. 4. He has long fingers and toes. 5. He has soft and tender hands and feet. 6. His hands and feet are webbed. 7. He has high raised ankles. 8. His legs are like an antelope's. 9. Standing and without bending, he can touch and rub his knees with either hand. 10. His male organs are enclosed in a sheath. 11. His complexion is bright, the color of gold. 12. His skin is delicate and so smooth that no dust adheres to it. 13. His body hairs are separate, 1 to each pore. 14. They grow upwards, bluish-black like collyruim, growing in rings to the right. 15. His body is divinely straight. 16. He has the 7 convex surfaces. 17. The front part of his body is like a lion's. 18. There is no hollow between his shoulders. 19. He is proportioned like a banyan tree, his height is as the span of his arms. 20. His bust is evenly rounded. 21. He has a perfect sense of taste. 22. He has jaws like a lion's. 23. He has 40 teeth. 24. His teeth are even. 25. There are no spaces between his teeth. 26. His canine teeth are very bright. 27. His tongue is very long. 28. He has a Brahma-like voice, like that of the Karavika bird. 29. His eyes are deep blue. 30. He has eyelashes like a cow's. 31. The hair between his eyebrows is white, and soft like cotton down. 32. His head is like a royal turban. King Bandhuma appointed nurses to carefully look after Prince Vipassi. The prince had very sweet, charming, and beautiful voice and was very well loved by everyone. Owing to past karma, Prince Vipassi was endowed with the divine eye and he could see a league day and night alike. He was unblinkingly watchful just like the 33 gods, hence he was named Vipassi. Then King Bodhi built 3 palaces specially for Prince Vipassi, one for the rainy season, one for the cold season, and one for the hot season, to cater for all the 5-fold sense pleasures and to shelter him from any sufferings. There Prince Vipassi stayed in the rainy season palace for the 4 months of the rainy season, with no male attendants, surrounded by female musicians, and he never left that palace. Buddha continued to explain Prince Vipassi life before enlightenment. Then, monks, after many years, hundreds of thousands of years later, Prince Vipassi said to his charioteer to bring him to the pleasure park to inspect it. When he arrived at the park, Prince Vipassi saw an aged man, bent, broken, leaning on a stick, tottering, sick, with his youth all vanished. At the sight of the aged man, he asked the charioteer why this man does not look like others, what's wrong with him. The charioteer explained that that's an old man with not much time to live. Then the prince asked if he will age and will he not be exempted from old age? The charioteer that no one can escape aging. After returning to his palace, Prince Vipassi was overwhelmed by grief and dejection as he thinks birth will lead to inevitable aging. The king Bodhi asked the charioteer what happened at the park that caused the prince to be upset. Charioteer told the king what Prince Vipassi saw. Fearing that the prophecy of the prince going into the homeless life and becoming a Buddha will come true, the king provided for Prince Vipassi to have even more enjoyment of the 5-fold sense pleasures, in order that he should rule the kingdom as a universal monarch. Thus the prince continued to live indulging in, and addicted to the 5-fold sense pleasures. After many years, hundreds of thousands of years later, Prince Vipassi said to his charioteer to bring him to the pleasure park to inspect it. When he arrived at the park, Prince Vipassi saw a sick man, very ill, fallen into his own urine and excrement, people picking him up and putting him in a bed. At the sight of this sick man, he asked the charioteer why this man does not look like others, what's wrong with him. The charioteer explained that that's a sick man who can hardly recover from his illness. Then the prince asked if he will fall sick and will he not be exempted from diseases too? The charioteer that no one can escape from diseases. After returning to his palace, Prince Vipassi was overwhelmed by grief and dejection as he thinks birth will lead to inevitable diseases and their accompanied sufferings. The king Bodhi asked the charioteer what happened at the park that caused the prince to be upset. Charioteer told the king what Prince Vipassi saw. Fearing that the prophecy of the prince going into the homeless life and becoming a Buddha will come true, the king provided for Prince Vipassi to have even more enjoyment of the 5-fold sense pleasures, in order that he should rule the kingdom as a universal monarch. Thus the prince continued to live indulging in, and addicted to the 5-fold sense pleasures.